Once again, you are here at Meet My Lab for the Research and Innovation Days. Research teams from Europe and ASEAN will showcase their work in the areas of climate change, innovation, and global health, and you will join me on a virtual tour. Remember, I'm in this remote island in the Philippines watching the sunset, but really we will be going for work. We're going to go to see the labs that we have today. I will be calling our scientists and people that I admire so much in this work against climate change. I will be calling 4 amazing people. We will see them on the screen, and then we will go fly to each of their destinations. So we will know where the stops are in a bit. First, the head of the Research Center for Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization at Sunway University in Malaysia. Please welcome Professor Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, and good morning and good afternoon from Sunway University, Malaysia.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy today to be here and to share within 15 minutes what we are doing here in Sunway, trying to do our part and contributing to climate action or CO2 emission mitigation.
Professor Aroua, I will be back with you. Let us call in our other scientists. Just stay there. I like your background. Is that live or is that a virtual background? It's hard to tell sometimes.
It's a virtual background. But this me maybe in the lab, yeah.
All right. Okay, and then we will now welcome the Associate Professor at Universiti Sains in Malaysia. I hope I'm pronouncing that university's name right. Let me know, Dr. Choe Peng, or Leo, welcome. Hello.
Thank you. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can. We can.
Yeah, I'm excited to meet everyone over here. Thanks for staying with us. And I hope in the next 15 minutes later on, I'm going to explain more about our research on climate action. So thanks everyone for organizing these very meaningful activities. Without traveling, we can meet each other, explain more on our research, and we are meeting more people. We're having like more than 140, am I right?
Mm-hmm. And more than 300 on Facebook earlier, I saw.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, is that right? University Sains? How do I say that?
Yes, it's a Science Malaysia in the Bahasa.
Okay, and both you and Professor Kheireddine are in Malaysia, is that right?
Yes, but I'm in the north.
Okay, I'm excited to meet the 2 other amazing women that will tell us about their work. First, next top researcher at Metallurgy and Materials Science Research Institute, or MMRI, in Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. Please welcome Dr. Rongrong Cheacharoen.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy and excited to share with you guys about what I'm doing to push for, to solve the climate change together with all of you. And I hope you guys enjoy it.
Beautiful background too. I wonder if that's real. It is real, a real photo, but not
of the university.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Cheacharoen. Now let's welcome the founder and CEO of Space Corp Technologies, right now in Budapest, Hungary. Please welcome Mary Grace Gasco.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It's really a great pleasure to be co-presenting our project with esteemed guests today. We are also working on a smarter and sustainable farming in agriculture. Thank you.
Thank you. And let me correct myself. It's not Space Corp. So we're not talking about spaceships. We're talking about crops. So Space Crop Technologies. Thank you so much for being here with us, Mary Grace. Now all 5 of us are going on it. We're going to lead a trip. We're going to lead everyone in this room. Okay, we're not traveling physically, but we're traveling with our minds. All right, so now we're going to Sunway University in Malaysia, and we will have Professor Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua welcome us there. Go ahead, Professor.
Thank you. Let me share my screen first. Can you see the screen, please?
We can.
Okay, great. First of all, I would like to thank Oraccess and especially Susan and Jenny for giving me this opportunity to take you for a tour to my lab at Sunway University. So this lab basically is focused mainly on research on carbon dioxide capture and utilization. And it was established, the center, in 2018, about almost 4 years ago. And for this presentation, the title was inspired from an article written in The Edge, Malaysia, Climate Change Capture That Carbon. Let me start first with this, to share with you this video.
Hi everybody, I hope all of you are safe and healthy. I am Mohamed Kheireddine Aroua from Sunway University. I'm currently the Deputy Dean for Research and Postgraduate Study, and at the same time I'm heading the Center for CO2 Capture and Utilization, and I am the leader for the research cluster on material science. In our research center, we are focusing on CO2 capture and utilization. So as you may know, CO2 is a gas that it is emitted from fossil fuel burning plants, and it affects our environment and especially the climate on Earth. So climate change, as you know, it's the grand challenge that facing humanity and life on Earth. And in our work, we are trying to address this challenge by developing new processes to capture CO2 and at the same time utilizing this gas. By working on CO2 capture, basically we are addressing a number of sustainable development goals. One of them, of course, is SDG 30, which is climate action, and also SDG 7, which is affordable and clean energy. As when we remove CO2, I think from natural gas or biogas, basically we are improving the quality of the gas. And also SDG 9 is innovation and industrial innovation, because we are developing new processes that improve CO2 capture. The benchmark technology in industry for CO2 capture is the amine technology, where we use amine solution, the basically aqueous solution of amine, to absorb CO2. Amines are basic, and CO2 is a gas, so they can an acid gas, so they can react together, and they can capture CO2 in forms of carbonate, carbonate, or bicarbonate. So the cost of this process is quite high to be used in power plants, and as the cost is about 55 to 60 US dollars per ton of CO2 capture. In order to make this process economical, this cost must be at least half to about 30 US dollars per ton of CO2. To integrate the CO2 capture and with its utilization, it's a big challenge facing the researcher. One team or one person or one university won't be able to solve or address this challenge. So we need to work together, and that's why in our center we recognize the importance of partnership, and we are currently establishing the first Euro-Asia network on CO2 capture and utilization, which comprises teams from local universities, regional universities, and from Europe to tackle this big issue. And recently we have signed a 3 years research collaboration project with an MIT group to integrate CO2 capture with its utilization in energy storage devices. In the next 2 or 3 decades, the CO2 that we capture from flue gas can be used as a raw material to synthesize and to produce chemicals and fuels. Hi, everyone.
So allow me 2 minutes just to present our university. Sunway University is currently ranked top 100 in Asia according to QS latest ranking for 2022. We have about 8,000 students, 72 academic programs, 7 academic schools, 17 research centers, and it's a private university with a non-profit university. And the research, I mean, the money coming from tuition fees in the first degrees is recycled back in the university to support research, to support officers and researchers like me and the other centers we have at the school, and also to give scholarships for master's students and PhD students. So there's no profit from through this education in Sunway University. It's situated in Sunway City. It's about 15 kilometers from Kuala Lumpur, and it's one of the smart city in Malaysia. And you can see here, this is the view where you can see the Sunway Lagoon. So within walking distance, we have hotels, 5-star hotels. We have one of the largest theme parks, and also Sunway Pyramid, a very big shopping complex with medical centers, etc. So it's very integrated, this city, and you are blessed on Sunway University because this city is like our living lab where we can apply what we are producing in the lab to the city in terms of water treatment or renewable energy or waste minimization, etc. Our school is also a small school, School of Engineering and Technology. We have about 1,300 students, 9 academic programs, 2 academic departments, 5 research center groups. We have only 56 staff. It's about 41 academic and 15 supporting staff. And despite the small number of academicians, and we have more than 300 publications per year. So size doesn't matter, although we are small. As for nanoparticles, they are very, very efficient. This is basically the 2 departments that we have now: Department of Computing and Information Systems, Department of Engineering. These are the research centers and research group. We have the Research Center of Applied Physics, my center that I'm going to present later. We have the Research Center for Human-Machine Collaboration, Research Center for Nanomaterials and Energy Technology, and Graphene and Advanced 2D Material Research Group. This basically our area of research, as you can see, goes from physics to artificial intelligence to materials. We are very strong in material research, basically, and its application. Why we capture CO2? Of course, climate action. This is one of the main impact that we want to do when we are doing research on CO2. But not only environmental or climate change that is important for CO2 capture, also that affordable and clean energy is one of the areas that we also tackle as when we remove CO2, for example, from biogas or natural gas. We need to we will improve the quality of the gas. As well, we are developing new technologies or new area for business and industry innovation. This is the vision and mission of the center. I will go, but this you can find it on our website. So the team, I am the head of the center, and I have Dr. Fariha, who's the senior research fellow, and Dr. Mohamed Azlan as a research fellow, and we have Nurul as our lab executive, and we have also a team based on projects. So we have 1 research fellow, Dr. Arif Fahad, and 2 research assistants. And I would like to let them also talk about their work to you.
Hello, I am Fariha, a research fellow for the Research Center for Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization, Sunway University. This lab was established in 2018, and our facilities are fully furnished for CO2 capture and utilization application. Join us in our journey around our facilities.
lab working as a research fellow. My work is on advanced nanomaterials and nanotechnology for carbon dioxide capture and its application. So one of the properties need to measure for high pressure density. So this is the equipment I'm using, where it can play with the high pressure and temperature. And then its physical properties need to be measured on the as-produced nanomaterials for carbon dioxide capture applications for the further steps. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Mohamed. I am a research fellow in this center. My current work involves developing solvent for CO2 capture and utilization. My main equipment is the high pressure CO2 absorption unit, where I evaluate the performance of the solvent at elevated pressure. And to help me develop the solvent, I will be also utilizing software called PRRCFI, whereby I can calculate and predict the solubility and thermophysical properties of the solvent design.
Hi, my name is Shaira, a PhD student at Universiti. I'm also a research assistant at the center. Currently, I'm assisting in CO2 absorption process involving amine from renewable sources. So I'm using this low pressure CO2 absorption reactor to evaluate the performance for liquid absorbent for CO2 capture at ambient pressure. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kheireddine, research assistant for the center. My work is primarily on mass transport properties for carbon dioxide capture. And in my work, I'll be utilizing the flat gas liquid interface reactor, where it is used to measure the kinetic parameters of the reaction going, the transport properties, as well as the absorption rate of carbon dioxide. Thank you. Hi, Fariha again. My research is focused to solve two environmental issues regarding the solid waste management and also CO2 emission. So in my research, I will convert any type of waste into variable product, such as carbon-based material or porous carbon to capture CO2. Okay, how? You can use this equipment, back CO2 absorption system. Okay, from the data that I get, I study the CO2 absorption, kinetic absorption isotope, and also regeneration study. Okay, thank you.
We, as a center, are working to reach and support the goal of the Sustainable Development Goals and the sector of climate change SDG 13 and sector of energy SDG 7 set by the United Nations. Thank you.
Bye.
So as mentioned just now, I think by the researchers themselves, I think we are focusing more on the area of development of new solvent and solvent formulation, especially nanofluids, and even converting plastic waste to a novel adsorbent and solvent for CO2 capture. And we are working on amine-based solvent and deprotectic solvent. And you can see from in this slide that we do a lot of collaboration, especially with the University of Malaya, with MIT. We have 3 projects where we try to integrate the capture of CO2 with its electrochemical application and storage, energy storage devices. And also we are working on biocatalysis with a collaborator from UEA, and also modeling using artificial intelligence. As we are focusing more on thermodynamics, kinetics, mass transfer, and etc. I think this where you have seen some in the video just now, our facilities. Here is where the researcher normally sit. It's beside the lab, and you can see. So this door is to the lab basically, and also we have a sanitizer. This is a new item during the pandemic. Before this, 2 years ago, we don't have such item in our labs. These are some of the activity in 2019. We are proud that we are the first to start the first Euro-Asia conference on CO2 capture and utilization. That was in August 2019. and it's supposed to be held this year, but to be postponed for next year. So in 2022, there is a rendezvous for the second Euro-Asia conference on CO2 capture and utilization. And I hope to see you all. And if you are face-to-face or even a virtual conference, we are trying to do it next year. So we are also collaborate, and so one of the mechanisms that we are look at is mobility and internship, and these are students. They come from France. This is Bouchra.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Bouchra Brahmi, je suis étudiante en design à Toulouse, en génie chimique, et j'ai effectué mon stage de deuxième année ici à Sunway University au Research Center for Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization. J'ai eu la chance d'intégrer un projet de recherche notamment supervisé par le Dr Aslan autour du développement d'une nouvelle génération de solvants pour la capture du CO2. Donc, durant ce stage, j'ai pu synthétiser mes propres solvants et travailler sur cet équipement qui est un réacteur d'absorption à haute pression. Et en parallèle de mon travail, j'ai aussi participé à l'organisation d'une conférence, d'ailleurs la première conférence sur le CO2 ici en Malaisie. Et j'ai pu aussi donc, y participer et apprendre beaucoup justement sur le sujet.
Sorry, and then also we have a gentleman who came here for 6 weeks. He was sponsored by the DAG. Also, he's talking in German. But because of the time, I think I will go for the next slide. So as I mentioned, we are establishing this network, and we call it the Euro-Asia Carbon Dioxide Capture and Utilization Network. And currently, we have 29 members from 23 universities from 40 countries. We were not very active in 2021 because of the pandemic, but this idea of the network came from a project that we started in 2017, was between University of Malaya, UNIMEP, and Queen's University of Belfast, and the Newton Omar Fund funded by the British Council. And from that funding, I think we progressed to develop, to launch the first Euro-Asia conference on CO2 capture and utilization. And with some support from Sunway University, we are trying to establish this network. And I hope after this event and in the future, we have more members coming, and maybe we'll look for some ways how EuroX can facilitate us to realize this dream. As without I think, collaboration, without partnership, I think we will not be able to address this grand challenge, which is climate change that affects not people in Malaysia, but affects the world, affects the earth, and also working on CO2 capture and utilization is not only important for Earth, it's also important beyond Earth. As you know, NASA, a few months ago, they were able to capture CO2 from Mars atmosphere, and convert it to oxygen, which is vital for life. So by working on CO2, basically capture and utilization, we of course working to solve life on Earth, solve humanity, but also to create life somewhere else. It is also an important process. These are some of the events that we had this year. Seminar, and this is the latest one we organized with Lancaster University, and within the Lancaster University COP26 festival. It was held end of last month. With this, I thank you very much, and I am very open to consider any collaboration on any future visitors to our lab, to our city, to our university, very vital university, and I will be happy to answer the question later and to work with all of you in the future. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Professor. Wow. I mean, I have heard of carbon capture. Definitely in my work, carbon sequestration is, of course, natural in the natural way. I have heard of technology that captures carbon, but to this extent, with all of with the team, they seem fun, by the way, to be in the lab. It seems fun to be around them. I have so many questions, but let's just hold my questions for now. But definitely we will have a discussion on collaborations and how different researchers can work together and how I can work with you, for example, or how organizations like mine can learn from what you're doing. But just a quick question, Professor, where can we find information about the the lab at Sunway University, especially the carbon capture and utilization department?
Yeah, I think if you Google Sunway University and then the website, and there are all the centers and the department website. Yeah.
All right. Now we're going to take maybe a bus to somewhere also in Malaysia. Professor Kheireddine, we're going to Leo's lab at Universiti Sains. And I am sorry, I don't know what location is that exactly in Malaysia. Leo, it's your time.
Hi.
Welcome us.
Thanks, Dave, for the introduction. I'm actually in Penang. It's a beautiful island as well. So we are in the north. It will take about 1 hour of flight to reach here. So I'm going to introduce a little bit on our team for about 2 minutes. There's going to be a video. And later on, I'm going to share some PowerPoint slides going deep into the research that we are currently working on, how we capture the CO2 and how we store it in calcium carbonate. Okay, so please allow me to share my screen.
I think you should be able to. Yeah. You see.
So I'm going to play the video about.
Hi, this is Leo from University Science Malaysia. I am a thinker, thin film maker, who never stop thinking of solution. My research focuses on membrane solutions for water recovery, food purification, biogas upgrading, and carbon capture. Since we are good in manipulating the wetting on membrane surface, we also created waterproof coatings with superhydrophobic surface to protect buildings and structure under extreme climate. We are expanding fast and looking forward to working with you. This is one of our carbon capture solutions. Carbon dioxide is absorbed into calcium-rich waste and stored as calcium carbonate in membrane gas absorption. Our laboratory is well equipped and funded. Our research is supported by American Chemical Society, the Royal Society, Royal Academic of Engineering, NICT Japan and more. I have published more 100 scientific papers with H-index of 30 was achieved. I am ready to collaborate with more enthusiastic partners.
Okay, so that will be a quick introduction of our team. And then just now we talk about the calcium carbonate. Dave, can you still see my slides?
Yes, I can.
Yes. So I'm moving into the PowerPoint slide to talk a little bit how we generate the carbon plus calcium for carbon capture, storage, and use. So we are working in a small team. Two of the students, Ms. Tan Wai Ling and Ms. Tan Hui Fang, has graduated last year. And this project, we are working together with Professor Latif. So in the beginning, actually, we are working more into fuel processing. In Malaysia, we produce a lot of natural gas, and the government actually has a very good policy to encourage all the palm oil mill to capture the methane. And the biogas actually contains quite an amount of CO2. So usually what we do in the beginning, we capture the CO2 and then we upgrade the fuel and we release the CO2. And when we share our works in the exhibition and competition, people like keep asking us, what do you do with the CO2? We're like, what can we do with the CO2? And they say, if you can convert the CO2 into chemicals, and they believe that we can save the world together. We're like, okay, we're going to save the world. That sounds great. Okay, so after working about 3 years, we started to look into producing the calcium carbonate from the CO2. It is quite a very conventional reaction. You can just have the CO2 bubbling into the alkaline solution contained with the calcium-rich waste, for example, like brine. And then at the low pressure and temperature, they can form the calcium carbonate. But this calcium carbonation comes with several limitations. Some of the researchers actually are working on the direct carbonation. It means that you have the CO2 react with the solid minerals. When you do so, the CO2 actually causes a formation of calcium carbonate, a layer on the surface of the mineral, and then the efficiency and the yield will be quite low. Reason is more researchers are actually looking into indirect carbonation. We will actually have the CO2 dissolve into the liquid phase, and then we'll either have the extraction agent extract out the calcium from the minerals, or maybe we'll introduce the absorbent to capture the CO2 before they can react the minerals in the aqueous phase. So like what we have presented in the introduction video clip just now, maybe we have a quick capture again. Our team is very good in fabricating the thin film, we call it membrane. Okay. And we can fabricate the superhydrophobic membrane with a very porous structure. They provide a large surface area for the CO2 to be absorbed into liquid absorbent. So if you have a calcium-rich waste solution, like for example, the brine, and you can actually capture the CO2 from biogas, natural gas, landfill gas, or even flue gas, because this CO2 capture process is running at the low pressure, and you do not have to reach a very high temperature to initiate the reaction. So the advantage is we can purify the gas. At the same time, we can produce useful calcium carbonate nanoparticles continuously, and the efficiency will be high. This is a small setup. So we can't bring the gas cylinder, so we usually have the CO2 in the balloon being absorbed into the water. Just now turning the phenolphthalein to be colorless. You add the calcium solution, and then you adjust it with the alkalinity. You can actually produce calcium carbonate in the nanoparticle size. So of course, in naked eyes, you won't see it much. A lot of people focusing more into the calcium carbonate particle size and the surface area. We do it slightly different. We actually try to control the mass transfer of the CO2 and observe how it actually affects the carbonate particle size and properties. So we realized that there are some membrane which is super hydrophobic. They will actually react the CO2 very fast. So there's a drop of pH. Okay. And it means that we successfully produce the calcium carbonate. And if the CO2 absorption flux is very low, sometimes you can't even get calcium carbonate. So we are still doing what we are good with. We are producing the superhydrophobic membrane with a CO2 absorption flux, which is considered quite high. And this is the difference between the calcium carbonate microparticles, and this is the nanoparticles. So what can you do with the calcium carbonate? Calcium carbonate is widely used in our papers, in our coatings, and then they even added into the plastics, adhesive, and sealant. Okay, if you are working into agriculture related research, you will know that calcium carbonate is actually a pH controller. People use it as fertilizer. So we also work out with some researcher. We absorb the nutrient from the wastewater into calcium carbonate and release into the soil. Okay, and some people use it for as an antifungal, antibacterial agent, and they can be used to remove the algae. Okay, so in Canada, actually we have Carbon Cure company won a prize of 5 million. They use the CO2 to produce the green concrete. So what they do, they also use the CO2 to react the calcium in the cement, and they produce the calcium carbonate nanoparticles within the concrete. So we are currently having a project with a team of civil engineers. They would like to have the super hydrophobic coating on the concrete. But this time around, we are using the calcium carbonate and the waste cooking oil. Okay, and we're looking forward to work with some of you if you are working in desalination, and if you are keen to convert the toxic brine into commercial product, then I think we will make a very good team. And also, we have initiated a collaborative project with the University of Malaysia. They are keen to use the calcium carbonate as the drug delivery nanoparticles. So we are excited, and also, maybe if I have a chance, maybe in next round, I'll share you the results. So as a chemical engineer, I think there's a lot of potential if we can capture the carbon dioxide and convert into a useful product, because nearby we have, like, Felda Simdabi plantation company. They are keen to upgrade their biogas into bio-natural gas. And for TMB, for example, they are keen to capture the CO2 from the flue gas and reduce their carbon footprint. We also have Prattanas in Malaysia. They're keen to improve their natural gas plant, okay, by improving the CO2 capture efficiency. And of course, we are looking forward to work with our Middle East partners to treat the brine from the desalination plants. So this is our publication in the less than past 5 years. So you can check on my Google Scholar online. And then we are currently supported by FRGS, Malaysian government grant, by our university, and by the Institute of Climate Change, UKM, Simdabi Foundation. And we actually have shared our ideas in some of the competition and exhibition. We actually get a lot of good feedbacks to improve our work. So we always focus on the SDG, not only to reduce the 45% of carbon emission to mitigate the climate change. Our team also looking for generating more innovation to produce affordable and clean energy, particularly using the biogas. And we are also try to improve the sustainability of desalination plant. And of course, we are working with industry partners to see how can we improve the industrial innovation in infrastructures. And we also will continue work on the green concrete. So I think that's all from my presentation. Thank you. And if you're keen to have any discussion, you can contact me. That's all, David, my presentation.
Thank you. Can you please show us again your email, or you can also type that in the chat, Leo? I am just amazed again with all this technology and for bringing us to your lab. So you are in Penang, and there's a lot of things that I actually want to ask about, but I want to understand. So these nanoparticles are basically the carbon, right? That's already being sequestered, and we usually use them. We can use them now to create materials, of course, with the right mixtures of. Sorry, I'm not a scientist, as you know, but I do work in conservation. It's just something that I haven't really seen in real life.
Okay, so because there's a waste from the seawater, when we recover the water from the seawater, in the seawater there's calcium. So when they being concentrated, it actually become a waste. So the calcium is actually a good source to capture the CO2 in the form of the carbonates, so they are quite stable. So we even add the calcium carbonates into your toothpaste. So it's edible. It's edible.
Calcium carbonate also that forms the exoskeleton of some marine animals. Is that the same calcium carbonate with the shells and all of that?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I don't want to ask you for a science class, Dr. Leo. I don't want to ask for a science class today. Thank you so much for introducing to us your work. I know that some of the people are watching, as you've said, desalination. If you have toxic brine from that, then it's a good match with you because you're able to work together. So those kind of collaborations you would like to highlight in our regroup later with all of the 4 scientists that we're meeting in this lab tour. All right, thank you so much, Leo. Next up, we're going to, where are we going? We're flying to Thailand. And we will be meeting a researcher for the Metallurgy and Material Science Research Institute, or MMRI, at Chulalongkorn University in Thailand. Thank you, Leo. I'll see you later and talk to you in a bit. Dr. Cheacharoen?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, let me share my screen. I'll start with a brief presentation of where we are. Okay, can you see my slide?
It's coming on now. It is.
Okay, yeah. Hi everyone, I'm Rongrong Cheacharoen, and today I'm gonna walk you through my lab. Here is where we are at. We are in Bangkok, Thailand. Is where Chulalongkorn University located, right in the center, as you can see, of Bangkok. Bangkok is the gray area, and the picture here is the picture of Chulalongkorn. So it's in the middle, so it's like a very green campus surrounded by like all tall buildings, shopping areas, and like business district. So it's a very I guess convenient and lively place to be at, to do research, and also to have some fun after lab, and also good food as well. And here is the map, Chulalongkorn University. Let me see. So we are here at, I don't know if you can see the circle, but this is the Chulalongkorn. It's a very big campus, and we are right in a tall building as I circle. We are on the top levels of this buildings, which is shared by the Petroleum School of Petroleum School. And here, first meets our crew at the MMRI. We have the energy team, consists of 6 awesome researchers, ranging from the surface coating to batteries, lithium ion, to computational chemistry, and me, and also polymer and photocatalyst. So we work together quite well. And so this is just us. And then as a bigger team, we have the energy storage cluster at Chulalongkorn University, where we have 3 big projects together with international partners, starting from the recycle of the spent batteries. We also develop high performance and long cycle life of the zinc ion batteries. And currently we are pushing for the next generation of flow batteries for the large scale storage. together with our partners, as you can see here in the picture on the bottom right, and with all the logos here. All right. So now let's with the big picture there. Now let's meet my lab, and I'm gonna switch media a little bit and then show you guys the video. So you see here.
The name of the lab, our lab. What was that? How did you pronounce it?
You see. Do you see something? You hear something?
Yes, we can, but it seems like it's not moving smoothly. Can you reshare again, Dr. Cheacharoen, and make sure it's optimized for a video clip? Just try it again, if you don't mind.
All right. Let me see. I don't know how to.
Try it again, and we'll
Okay.
go from there.
Is it better? Or the same?
It's the same. I think you need to click a
Okay.
check box that says optimize for video clip. I'm really sorry. It's not
It
audible.
didn't show up. Could you just pull up the YouTube video that I shared?
Sure. Okay.
On your side?
While I'm doing that, can you just continue, and I will share it once it's ready.
All right. So I mean, you asked what is this RRR lab? It's like we have three themes in our lab. It's the renewable, rechargeable, and the reliability lab, and that you see in the video. All right. All right. I hope you get like a picture of our normal everyday activities that we have around our lab. These days in Thailand, the COVID is still there, so it's a little bit hard for us to just walk in there like live. So we try that. So now let me bring back to the PowerPoint presentation to focus a little bit more on our work. Here, all right. So can you see again?
Yep, looks good.
All right. Yeah, so our first part, the first R is the renewable, right? So the renewable part of us is we are doing perovskite solar cells, and we have 3 different approaches for perovskite. And first of them is to design, to do the device engineering and to understand the degradations of it. And we have a very close partnership with with Dr. Choe Peng, Vanapaiboon at the Thai synchrotron laboratory that we go very often each year, and we always just bring like a big batch of samples there and do institute studies together, and we always create like new holders to understand what's going on in our device. And let me see, and the second part, the second part we try to design a more robust and lower cost encapsulation. Pictures up there is my second generation of the packages that I designed that passed the IEC 61215 standard for the first time, that demonstrate that perovskite can perhaps withstand like 25 years of field operations. And picture below what it looks like. But we hope that we can design like even more cheaper and easier, but still robust, so that we can apply it not only the rigid version, but also like apply it in the flexible different applications. And the third part, as you might have seen, we also very interested in doing stability testing. I personally am a fan of trying to make something that lasts long. So we have this big solar simulators, like 30 by 30 square centimeters. 30 by 30, so 900 square centimeters, where we can test 16 devices at the same time at MPPT to understand how the cells would operate under realistic operations. Of course, you can test other things like other materials that that also needs to be under light. So we are very open to collaborate on that. So the other part, the other part that we do is the rechargeable, the second R, the rechargeable batteries. We doing a zinc based, and this is the zinc ion batteries, where we trying to understand and try to design the materials for the cathode. And also we collaborate very closely with Dr. Rongrong here, who help us with all the calculation, like the DFT, MDs, and whatever chemical calculation we can think of. He always there for us. So we have a very good understanding. And but of course we are very open to more. It's always nice to have like a broader, wider network who are specialized in different things. The other, still the second R. So we're doing zinc based flow batteries. As you can see here, we go from a smaller version to a larger version to the single flow cell with pumps and everything. So we're trying to optimize the electrolyte to make it work, to make it stable and make it work. And lastly, we hope that we can so we already started this. We trying to integrate solar and batteries together through electrical circuits, but hopefully we can, put it together in one device, and that will be, the most cost efficient and, good for everyone. And this is the overview of, I guess, like the recap of what we are doing. And our groups, very highly focused on the materials and device engineering, as well as operational stabilities. And we're pushing for mostly these 5 SDG goals. And you can follow us on social medias here or email me there. And this is our collaborators and fundings. both nationally and internationally. We looking forward to having many more on this chart, and it's been really fun for me to come back to Thailand and start my group and already collaborating with these few people. But I am really looking forward to having many more, because I found that it's always, they always bring very good idea, or like we can solve many things together that sometimes just our group alone just doesn't think of, and we have like a bigger, a more comprehensive solution to the problems. And last but not least, this is like, I just want to bring back again, this is my small team, and you can follow us there. These are our students ranging from the bachelor's to master and PhD students, and you're all very welcome to visit our lab and email us or follow us on social medias. And yeah, thank you so much for your attentions, and yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Dr. Cheacharoen. I am so excited with the lab that you have. It looks so cute. I will be. I'm sure we have questions. If you do have questions, I also see some already asked for Dr. Choe Peng. So later we will get to the answers when I bring all you back to our Zoom meeting. We're still in Thailand right now, remember? So we are now going to Hungary. We're going to Europe. I'll talk to you later, Dr. Cheacharoen. Now we will be meeting the founder and CEO of Space Crop Technologies, and she's welcoming us at Budapest in Hungary, Mary Grace Gasco.
Hi everyone. It's really a great pleasure to share with you our project on spatial decision support for forecasting soil water requirements in farming. Now I'm gonna share with you my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you. All right, so once again, hi everyone. I am Mary Grace and we are Space Crop. I am very pleased to share with you our project on spatial decision support tool for forecasting soil water requirements in agriculture. Our research is being funded by the European Institute of Technology, which is a body of the European Commission. Based on a UN report, by 2050, there will be around 50% increase in areas with water shortages around the world due to population increase. Food production will decrease by 40%. And the global food system is in a critical crisis. If there are lacking measures to mitigate and adapt to climate change impacts, it will greatly affect food production and availability, leading to food insecurity in many vulnerable communities. 4 years from now, 2/3 of the world will be living under water stress conditions, according to UN Disaster Risk Reduction. On the right side, there is a photo of women in a village collecting drinking water from an almost dried up well in India. With low levels of rain, that farmer in the photo is fearing another summer of drought in the coming years. Our farmers need resources to grow food. Water is a critical input for agricultural production. It plays a very important role in food security. They need help in adapting to changing climate patterns and extreme weather conditions. Our solution is an AI decision support tool via web and mobile app to help farmers manage their water resources. It is highly water efficient, has better forecasting features and robust dashboard, and the most cost-effective. Our users can access information via dashboard, mobile application, and SMS alerts. Spacecraft forecasts soil water requirements using satellite data and artificial intelligence. Farmers receive information from spacecraft on when to water their crop and how much water is needed. It will help farmers save time and money. With remote sensing and smart irrigation system, our farmers can save up to 50% of water usage. Spacecraft helps farmers plan their irrigation, optimize their water consumption, reduce risk for crop damages, and provide a tracking system for weather historical data needs. Spacecraft has more robust service features and the most cost-effective investment based on crop yield per land area, which is 2 to 3 times lower in pricing as compared to other market players. We surveyed farms and spoke to farmers' associations, water companies, and other companies or organizations related to regulations, research, microfinancing, and distribution and selling in agriculture, and VC firms as well. We successfully gained additional test farms in our pilot areas. We received expressions of interest from companies to conduct pilot testings in other geographic locations. Our business proposal has been accepted at the European Space Agency for presentation at the tender of board. And we also have been an ongoing partnership with an EU-funded research network. 70% of the 140 farms we surveyed said that they rely on rainwater and deep well as main sources for irrigation. 60% of the farmers said that they experienced water scarcity in the past years. And most of them said that there is no water or irrigation company servicing in their areas. In our interviews with farmers, we validated that their needs on implementing an affordable solution to decrease their water utility costs and motivation to increase crop production. From seed stage, we will scale up in other countries after completion of our pilot series in Europe next year. Spacecraft's level of technology development is a TRL6, which includes proof of concept, product for deployment and validation in pilot areas, and digital assets. We already have a business plan, including market, operational, technological, and financial aspects. In less than 2 years, we participated in EIT food programs that have helped us develop our technology, reach our customers, and identify business partners and potential investors. We are looking for collaborations and partnerships to help us deploy our technology in many test farms and different geographic locations. Our team is very hardworking people coming from different backgrounds, believing that we can make a difference for 1 million test farms by 2030. As we say, where farming makes it easy, we are spacecraft. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Grace. I think it's 11 in the morning or almost 11 in Hungary right now. Is that right?
Right. So it's a bit sunny outside, and yeah, we are already going to the winter season.
Great. Thank you, Mary. So we will also now go back and fly back to where? Let me think. back to this beautiful island in my background, and let's have some 5 thirsty drinks, maybe something, you know, some to chill with each other after a long day at the lab. Earlier, I heard Dr. Cheacharoen say her location was the best because after work she'll just grab, you know, something to drink outside in Bangkok. I miss that city, by the way. And also, I wanted to highlight in my notes, actually, Professor, I want to start our discussion with, you said nanoparticles. They're small, but they're big. They can have a big impact. What did you mean by that? Did you mean your labs being small, or creating solutions that might not be super huge in scale, but actually can create impact as they scale?
Although, is this a question for me, is it?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, the part, I think that that's, I think, something to explain that size doesn't matter. As I think you know, I think many people know, is nanotechnology or nanoparticles is very, very small in size. But it's the same material that if it is smaller in size, it has a better performance and a better impact, okay? So similar, if we have a small team, even a small team can make an impact. Of course, we cannot make an impact by being ourselves. As a small, we have to work with other teams, with collaboration. If you collaborate, then we will have a better impact. So it doesn't matter that we are small in numbers or small in size, but the impact can be there. So that's basically the main idea about that. Yes.
I love the analogy. I love that. I'm a storyteller for science. I mean, I'm not super, but you know, every time that I watch something new, I want to learn what it means to the people that will use them, right? So
you know, maybe I will give you a very good example. You have a piece of carbon. We say carbon is it's just a char, which maybe is big. If it is 1 centimeter, if it is cubic, it has 6 centimeters square of area. But if you cut that in 1,000 pieces, the area that you form will be much than 10 to the power 3 or 10 to the power 6 more than that piece. So, and the area is very important because many processes, they need the surface area. So if you have high surface area, you have high efficiency, you have some more. So always I say size doesn't matter.
wow, it's so poetic, but it's also scientific. I'm totally mind blown by that. Let's get to the, thank you so much, Professor. Let's go back to Leo's. There's questions there for you about looking at the different polymorphs of calcium carbon. This question is from Brian Alamani, and I believe there's another one from the audience in the Zoom chat. Yeah, let's go ahead and, oh yeah, so they're asking if you're in the use of concrete for capturing CO2. Are your partners already working on this? And anything else you'd like to address in the chat, Leo? Or yeah.
Hi, Dave. We are actually working with a team of civil engineers in Malaysia as well. We are actually trying to fabricate the super hydrophobic coating on the concrete using the calcium carbonate. But I think we can go beyond that. If you can have, like, you know, the whole concrete is super hydrophobic, then it will be much better, right? So we are looking forward to work with also those civil engineers who are producing, you know, the asphalt, the highway material. They are actually looking having a hydrophobic material as well. So definitely I'm keen to work. So can contact me. I already put my email in the chat box. And back to Brian. We're currently actually producing the amorphous calcium carbonate, which is in a much smaller particle size. But of course, we are not like very good in chemistry. We are chemical engineers. So if you're very good in chemistry or you're material engineers, you are doing much better in controlling the polymorphs of the calcium carbonate, then we are definitely will be very excited to work with you.
Thank you for the questions. Please keep them coming. You can type in the chat in Zoom, or you can also go to the Q&A like what Brian did. So everyone can see your questions, and the other panelists can also answer. Brian says he's actually a chemical engineer and he works in the field of crystallization. Right, so definitely an opportunity to contact you there. Now, Mary, sorry, do you want to say something, Professor?
Yeah,
So
just maybe to share, because this is very interesting, I think, idea or suggestion using the concrete to capture CO2. There's a lot of work now also, people developing paint, paint that can capture CO2, and the rain will convert it to naturally to calcium carbonate, or other, it is washed out. So these are areas that people are looking at. As I said, these challenges basically are the source of innovation. When there's a challenge, there's always an opportunity. And by the human brain, I think, works very well and looks for ideas that you may not even imagine before. So imagine that you paint the building, and that building can help to capture the CO2. So these are some other processes, I think, for capturing CO2.
There's also a question from Melito Bakay for Leo. Why do we need to make the concrete surface super hydrophobic?
Okay, under the climate change, because we are facing more extreme weather. So in like Penang area, we frequently have the flood. So the structure, because inside you have the steel as a reinforcement, if you frequently have the flood, it will actually destroy the buildings as well. So they're keen to make the surface to be super hydrophobic to prevent water ingression into the porous concrete.
Wonderful. Okay, I know I want to ask, I want to invite more questions from the audience, definitely. But before I go to Dr. Cheacharoen and Mary Grace's time to talk as well, I do have a question about carbon storage. I mean, if I was a layperson listening to the conversation and to the presentation, I would find it amusing to have all these technologies, and especially if we need aid or support in sequestering them from the atmosphere. But how different are they from the natural carbon capture that's happening in ecosystems? Are these technologies significantly capturing more? And of course, the storage is different, right? Capturing and the storage would be different. And I can see in your labs, you're trying to also find ways on how to deal with what's produced after they were captured. Can anyone answer that, maybe?
Can I answer? Okay.
Yes.
That's, of course, if you look, I think the perfect process basically to capture CO2 or utilize it, of course, is the natural process, is photosynthesis. Only uses solar energy, water, and CO2, and of course you need nutrition. And then that CO2 is transformed to sugar, transformed to protein, to many things. That's the perfect one. Why it is difficult to have synthetic photosynthesis. The photosynthesis, the natural one, is very slow. That's the issue, because you have, when you look at the emission, if you look like an emission from a stack, from a power plant, the rate of the emission of the CO2 is very, very fast. But the rate for the plants to absorb is very, very slow. So that's the limitation, basically. But that is the most efficient in terms of a green process. So the chemical processes are faster. So we can absorb more amounts in a shorter time by using, for example, the amine solutions. It's a very, very fast process, and some they are very instantaneous. That means to convert CO2 to carbonate, sometimes the reaction is very, very instantaneous. So that's the big difference. And but the problem with the non-natural processes, they are still expensive, and also sequestration itself is not the right what you call the right strategy, because you capture CO2, the capturing you spend money. It is costly. but you sequestrate it also is costly. So what is the important is to utilize the CO2, transform CO2 to something that like can be now the process you can transform it to fuels, to methanol, to ethanol, to other compounds that you can sell that product from the CO2 that you capture and you make it as profitable. This is also that what should be done, and it will be done in the future basically. Is the utilization where you integrate the capture with the utilization of the CO2.
That's why it's there in the name of your work, right? The utilization. Okay, I wanna skip to the other scientists and people we've met today. I'll go first straight to Mary Grace because Dr. Cheacharoen, please prepare for a question that's very technical later. Mary Grace, how listening to all of this, all of these technologies, and I'm looking at, I was listening to your presentation, and by the way, somebody asked if that app was also available in Asia and not just in Europe. Talking about plants and carbon, you know, capturing the carbon through, of course, in your work, it's really a good soil, healthy soil, and the plants, of course, that thrive on them. What are you how are you feeling about all of these? Do you see any opportunity to collaborate with a carbon capture lab or a carbon capture scientist, or anything that you've heard about really piqued your interest and would like to hear more about from your perspective?
Yeah, basically what we are actually using in our technology right now is that we are utilizing the applications of space science technologies. Primarily, we are exploiting Sentinel-2 under the European Space Agency Copernicus program to investigate and forecast saltwater requirements in farming. And as we all know, satellite data has a lot of potential uses in environmental monitoring, and definitely, and if it will be combined with artificial intelligence to be able to predict, you know, an output, definitely we would be able to explore any potential collaboration with carbon capture. And yes.
No, I was just gonna say, I was reading the Q&A for Rongrong, and the question was also actually a bit similar. It's for Mary Grace mentioned artificial intelligence, really gathering data from the environment. Is that something that Rongrong, or what you're trying to do as well? Richard says your approach is very appealing for IoT or Internet of Things platforms that can be installed in the environment to gather data. I do have a follow-up question on that, but he was really asking about the durable, flexible batteries you are developing. How much energy density are you able to produce? Sorry, it was too fast. I'm geeking out, but go ahead, Dr. Cheacharoen.
I was asking my team about this because we are moving very quickly on this, so I don't really have the number, like the current number right now. But I don't know. It's quite, yeah. I am afraid that I don't have the accurate numbers. But we are right now trying to tackle the stability problems. I think the capacity is, I mean, I would like to get back to, who is this?
Richard isn't. That's okay.
Richard, yes. I can get back to you on this once I get some answer from my team. And my team, I mean the energy storage cluster, where you can see a lot of PIs. But on my side, I'm just trying to see how to make it more stable. Right now, we have some problems with one of the electrodes and the hydrogen, discharge evolution.
Richard says, no, sure, no worries, thanks. So,
okay. But yes,
get
back to back to you. Yes, we are super interested in that, and especially me, because I mean, trying to I mean, I mentioned before that I want to integrate the solar and batteries, and we definitely will need some like a simple circuit to kind of, you know, let it charge with solar and then discharge, and even better if we can make it flexible. Like, yeah, and because the zinc based batteries are very safe, it doesn't really explode like lithium. So we are trying, like, once it's a little bit more stable, like meaning like maybe a year long stable, then yeah, I think we be a little bit convinced, but it's almost there.
Somebody from a high school is listening to us, and this message was addressed to Dr. Rongrong, that she has great interest in your research. Can she contact you for more information to continue to be a guideline for further study? This is from a high school student. This is
definitely yes. email right away. I can speak, I can answer in Thai or in English, totally fine.
I love this session. I'm also learning a lot. I have more to discuss, but let me get to the meat of the matter. We want to know, so we've also learned in your presentation what in which sectors or opportunities they can contact you to collaborate with. But I want to hear from you. What kind of collaboration are you most excited about? What kind of collaboration would really be amazing, not just for your work, but for climate action in the world? This collaboration might be potentially happening already, or it could be a wish list or something that you dream of. Can I start with Leo? Do you have any particular collaboration you dream of, something that you want to happen?
I think it's happening now. We are having quite a number of interdisciplinary collaboration. So because of pandemic, we start to think of what can we do at home. So we do some research on the IoT as a sensor for our grey water treatment system. And we learn a lot from those mechanical engineers and engineers. So you can't imagine during the lockdown, I'm actually sitting at home learning how to use the Arduino board to connect to the sensors from the students. And also, like just now we talked about the civil engineering team. They actually, at first they saw in my lab, we have a super hydrophobic membrane. They say, can you coat on the concrete? We're like, okay, we can try that. So eventually it becomes a very interesting topics. And then we believe if we work with the civil engineers, they can actually create much more impact, because in Malaysia, everyone is talking about the green building, how to make the concrete to be more sustainable. But at first, I never thought of that. And we also work with a team of social scientists in UK and in South Africa. We collected the information why people are not so keen to recycle the grey water. The water that we use to wash our hands is rather quite clean. You can actually use it to flush toilet or for gardening. But after collecting the surveys, and then only we know, oh, they actually have concern on, you know, the health risk. So that's why we developed on a new method using IoT to actually analyze the total E. coli content in the water.
How about you, Mary Grace? What kind of synergies, convergences, you've already touched on them a little bit earlier, that you would be really happy about to explore?
Right. Hearing from our great co-panelists, I've learned so much from you know, any potential areas that we could collaborate with, and maybe talk later offline. But personally, we are looking for collaborations and partnerships, both in public and private entities, to help us deploy our technology in many test farms. Definitely, we will be partnering with farms, farmers associations, agricultural cooperatives, and we are also looking for partnerships with microfinance, insurance, and financial institutions to provide incentives and encourage adoption of our technology among our users who are primarily farmers. And we need partners as well in research to help us expand our data sets. And one of the best pathway in that area would be collaborating with universities and research institutions. And yeah, I'm very excited to actually hearing more of any potential collaborative areas with our co-panelists today. And going back to your question earlier, Dave, about whether our app has been already available in the Philippines or in Southeast Asia. We are actually looking forward to deploying our technologies there after the completion of our pilot testing in Europe. And we are very open to partnering with any potential collaborators. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Cheacharoen, are there any specific synergies after meeting Professor Kheireddine and Dr. Leo, both in Malaysia and also Mary Grace in Hungary and me in the Philippines? Yeah. Do you have any plans to collaborate, or are you looking for any particular partner to work with?
Oh, we open from, from like very, very basic science. Like if you are like chemists who trying to understand some reactions, or like even if you have new material from like local sources, we can always try that in the batteries or solar cells as one of the, we can add it as additive or use it as like a, one of the layers. And me personally, as a reliability engineer, I am always excited to exchange devices, or even looking for partner who do field testing, who are willing to do like together like field testing in different climates, different part of the world, to probe the behavior of this perovskite, or even of this like zinc-based batteries. How would they last? Like, would they, even for the flexible ones, like would they survive in different climates, or like day and night, and different application? Even like if you have any like suggest applications, we can try to like exchange and provide these samples. And of course, like I also would like to collaborate with some still looking for the electrical engineer, and for the power system, the IoT, but even bigger like the power system. Like how do we manage this like a smooth integration of like energy harvesting and storage, and like to maximize it. And of course the data scientists. If we have a lot of reliability data, how do we like predict the trend even, and perhaps suggest for like a better like a smoother or maximize performance out of it, something like that. So but last but not least, social science or economists, we always open, because we one of our group goals is using like a local source and safe materials, like, and also low cost. So this depends on each countries, right? And I mean, I have to say the perovskite has led too. So we are looking to see how each countries would receive this, to have perovskite in their own countries. There's always debates on this.
And I can see the thread of conversation about social studies and understanding the social behavior of some of these products that you're using. This is also something that I'm very passionate about, how humans respond to the technologies that we bring. And also one other thing that I'm interested about is actually enterprise and
yeah.
Is there any sustainability in terms of making them as viable business models, and actually turn a profit for those who use or produce them. Professor Kheireddine, this is something you mentioned earlier. Can you maybe briefly talk about that? And then I will do a last round of questions for everyone before we end. This is an amazing discussion, by the way. I have so much other questions, to be honest. I want to talk about the sensors in the environment, okay? But anyway, Professor Kheireddine, business side of it, are you seeing any collaboration that is useful in your work?
Yeah, we, in fact, in our university, we started developing what we call the establishing research clusters. This is for multidisciplinary research that involve researchers, engineers, psychologists, economists, because the business part is also important, especially for the process that we develop. I will be very, very happy to have people who can help us on life cycle analysis, for example, to tell us whether our processes, not we leave it at the end when we have the process. We have to work from the beginning together with people from other disciplines, from the social science, from psychology, how people accept the new technologies, or how people accept capture CO2 capture plant near the neighbor, etc. So very, very, very important. And one area also, the materials, is very, very important because as we mentioned in our slides and videos, one area that we work is materials which are from renewable resources. And the renewable resources in different parts of the world, they are different. So maybe in Malaysia, there's a lot of biomass from palm industry, but in other places, there are different others. So what we can do is we can exchange materials, different materials. We are doing some work with Indonesia. They send some material that extract from biomass, and we will be testing for this material for CO2 capture. One area also, as I say, with Dr. Rongrong on the batteries, there's also the lithium carbonate batteries. So this is an area where we can work together. In fact, we're working on the MIT on this type of research where the people that work in MIT, they are mechanical engineers. We are mostly chemical engineers, chemistry. And the area is most on the lithium carbonate based batteries, and we are working together to integrate our renewable solvents to address their issues in the batteries like viscosity and other effects. So these are the area where we can work together, I think, and even with space crop, is there maybe tool can be adapted for like mapping CO2 emissions or something else. So these are things that we have to always to think beyond our our area, because we can find tools that are developed with for some sector can be implemented in our sector, etc. Yes.
Right. If I may add also, yeah, I can see a lot of potential thematic areas that we could actually collaborate in terms of utilizing satellite data and different models to be able to predict different environmental conditions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I know the time now is well, it's 18:26 in the Philippines. There's still so much to cover. I can't believe that that is the end of our discussion, unfortunately. However, I'd like to ask this question, and I'd like to bring in again this is your last brief answer, basically your goodbye line. in the time of crisis, when everyone is bothered about the pandemic, of course, not just bothered, but actually gravely affected by it, and also distrust in, unfortunately, there's some distrust in science, what's happening in the vaccine world, but also in climate science. There's still incredibly, there are people who are skeptics, and it's fine. But to you, and by the way, I mentioned this because the sensors in the environment and the satellite imagery, some people are scared of that. And if you listen to this company's shift to a different name recently, they're talking about sensors in the environment that will build an augmented or a virtual reality. It's almost the same as the physical environment. People are scared that we are looking into a world where their movements are, monitored, and we can't fight climate change. That's a long question, but the question is really, what do you say to these people who are maybe some distrustful of science, but also scared, maybe naturally so because the world is changing around them? What would be your message to them? Anyone? I know it's a hard question. But something that we need to answer together because, Mary Grace, do you want to go first?
Yes, sure. If I may go first, I'd like to say something personal about, how I become very interested actually in science, technology, and innovation. Growing up, I really wanted to be an astronaut. And then later on, I realized that to become an astronaut, I have to be a scientist. So there is always that curiosity, building up along the way. And it's very important for young people and for all people to actually be open to any innovation and potential changes in our environment, because that helps us as a humanity to adapt to any conditions, especially climate change impacts. And I always say that science is truth, and we really have to have an investigative mind and also that passion to uncover new things. Thank you.
Everyone doesn't have to answer. I mean, we don't have to do it all four of you answering this question. Anyone else, maybe before I turn it over to the PRRCFI and the moderators? Something poetic, Professor. We need something poetic.
Maybe I give you an example to show how science can help change life of people. I have been working since 2014 with the project on water. We developed systems using ultrafiltration. These are mobile systems to treat water. And in the end of 2014, there was big floods in Malaysia, and people in the north of Malaysia, especially in Kelantan, they were out of clean water for more than 2 months. And how we are, as professors and scientists, help a little bit to bring our system to Kelantan from Kuala Lumpur, which is about 400 kilometers to the area, and to work there to produce clean water for these victims. And after working with this community, we develop further the system, and now we're putting systems in remote areas, in schools, where people never had access to clean water. They never use clean water or treated water. And when you put it in the school with a solar panel that run the system, and they see how their life has changed. They don't need to boil anymore the water before they drink it, and it is clear water. So that's science. Without science, we cannot talk at this time. You are in Philippines, one in Hungary, and etc. So science. Basically, it helps humanity to reach a level of discomfort that we are living now. I think without the science, we will not be discomfort. But of course, everything has some disadvantage. But we overall, if we make the full balance, science is good for a better life, I think, on Earth and for people. Yeah.
So inspiring. Rongrong and Leo, do you want to have your last words?
Okay, sure. So I think Prof. Mohamed just now mentioned about the nanoparticles, right? So every small step that we are making now together, I believe eventually they will make a very big impact. We don't have to do a very big step at once, but every one of us, as long as we make a small step, try to collaborate and try to initiate something, I think in the future it's going to grow very, very big. Thank you.
Another inspiring. Rongrong, the pressure is on you.
Okay, I have a short one. So as someone who's who's pushing for energy independence, so yeah, even you can see that like without energy, we wouldn't be able to meet online like this. So I encourage everyone to just work on or even, you know, do tiny things on the things that you're interested in, and together it will intertwine, and then it will, you know, we can solve and push this climate change problems, and, you know, reduce the CO2. Yeah, so you don't have to you work on other things following the trends, as long as you believe in what you do. That's always just, you know, just be the main thing. Just follow your heart, your passions, and just make it happen. Yeah, that's for me. Oh, I think your mic is off.
Thank you so much, Rara. Thank you for all the speakers for bringing us to your labs, but not just your labs, but your hearts. What you're doing for the planet, what you're doing for your communities. I am so enriched by this session. I hope everyone who's watching this, even after this recording is shared, would really be able to touch them and do something, and also follow your path and collaborate with each other. In the time of climate change, this is extremely important, and I hope that I could still meet you one day again. We will definitely reaching out. Thank you so much. I will definitely want to visit Sunway and Penang and Bangkok again. This is once again Dave. I work for a conservation nonprofit. I take care of a really, really small remote island that, you know, sometimes I feel like nobody cares about. But with your work, I can see that the fight to protect this little island from sea level rise, for example, and impacts of climate change is connected to what you're doing there as well, that you're trying to do something. We're all trying to work together. And if that is the case, then there is no reason for us to fight. There is no reason to argue, because we all want the same thing, and that is to live on this one earth in peace and in abundance. And with that, I turn it over back to Suzanne. Thank you so much for the EU and ASEAN Research Innovation Days, for having this opportunity to meet your laboratories and your teams. And once again, thank you and good night. Back to you, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Dave. That was really, as you said, a super inspiring session. And I think you just said it beautifully. It doesn't matter where we are far away, but we're all united by the same goals. We want to live and join forces for a better planet. So it was really great. We've seen there was lots of action in the chat group. And as we heard at the beginning, the purpose of this session is really to connect you. And we hope that, you know, we've planted this seed and the connections will now grow over the next weeks and the next month. We will share this recording. It will be uploaded on the event page. You know, as you know, the R&I days are continuing over the next 6 weeks until the 15th of December. We have over 20 sessions coming up, and I'd like to point out some of them to you. Next week, we have very interestingly, we have 2 sessions dedicated to funding, because that's what we heard earlier. Funding is very important to you. We will have a session on the 17th of November on the Marie Skłodowska-Curie actions, which is a European Commission funding that's set aside for individual fellowships for postdoctoral research. We have funding under the European Research Council for excellent science, and we have a session on the 18th of November on the Marie Curie staff exchanges call. So this is a call for application that is currently open. And this is basically funding that allows research teams from ASEAN to join forces with research teams in Europe to work on a joint project. So this funding funds the staff exchanges, so researchers from each teams can go and visit each other. Well, you know, hopefully the pandemic will allow that. But again, excellent sessions. We also have another Meet My Lab session on the 19th of November, and this time we're focusing on the area of sustainable aquaculture, and marine biology. This is on the 19th of November with labs from Malaysia, from Indonesia, from the Netherlands, and from Norway. So I would really like to invite you once again, and maybe Jenny can put it once again in the chat group, to look at our event schedule and sign up for the sessions. And please also share it with your colleagues, with your friends, with your students, to really help us promote this activity. I think that's it for today. Jenny and I are always here in the region, so we are interlocutors. If you go home now and you think, oh, I forgot to write down the email address of Rongrong, how can I get in touch with her? You get in touch with us, of course. It's very easy, asean@euraccess.net. Just send us an email and we will continue connecting you. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as we have. So again, here's our email in the chat, asean@euraccess.net. We tremendously enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And we very much look forward to meeting you at the other events. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great rest, and we'll see you very soon.
Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Terima kasih. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.